So today, we're making sauerkraut. And I have 2 containers or vessels that I use to make the sauerkraut. And we have one large vessel here, glass container that I got from IKEA. I honestly have no idea what the volume or how many quarts this is. I'm guessing it's about 2 quart. This is a 1 quart, so this is kind of double the size. But it's very easy to make sauerkraut in any vessel or glass container. Always recommend glass. You can use ceramic, but not very many people have ceramic hanging around in their house. So these are available at the dollar store, and these are perfect for making sauerkraut. So I wanted to do a live speaking because I've never actually, I always do voiceover, but this is a subject or an element of your diet that I'm really passionate about, and I think that everyone would benefit from getting fermented foods into their diet. So of course, everybody's heard or heard the hot topic about probiotics and how beneficial they are for you. An average pill contains around anywhere from 10 million active viable cells to up to 150 million. And there's lots of variations in between there, and there's different levels of numbers of strains within those capsules. When you eat food like this versus taking a capsule, you're getting multiple, I can't even tell you how many strains, but many more than a capsule. And if you eat a quarter to a half a cup of this a day, you're getting over 200 billion active viable cells into your intestines to do all sorts of wonderful things for your health. So increase absorbability of all nutrients, increase digestion, and the most important thing is boost immunity, because 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your intestine. So this is your number one arsenal against any type of infection, disease processes, viruses, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so this is incredibly easy to make. It literally only took me 20 minutes of prep time to make this. You literally, which we're gonna show in the video right away, and I'll do voiceover for all of that entire process. But it was $5 for the cabbage and the dill and the garlic that we put in this, and salt. That's it. And this will last indefinitely in the fridge. So you can make large batches, and this will taste better than anything you'll ever buy at the store. So one small container of sauerkraut at the store is $10. These 2 large containers were $5. So anyways, you literally just add a small, I'll show you what a serving size looks like. This here is what I would say is a serving size, which is about a half a cup. If you have major digestive issues and you're not good at digesting high fiber foods, start with a tablespoon. And then you work your way up to a quarter cup to a half a cup. And you want to try and have half a cup a day. And if you have any digestive issues, immunity issues, inflammatory issues, this is your number one arsenal against things like that. And if you do get a little bit gassy, like I said, start slowly, chew very well. Do not chomp, chomp, swallow. You want to chew your food very well, very slowly, until it's almost completely macerated. So this is super flavorful. It is quite garlicky, so if you're not into garlic, you can omit as putting garlic in at all, but garlic is very good for the immune system. And it's very crunchy, and a little bit salty, and vinegary. So it goes perfect on the side as a condiment in salads, any dish. Basically, you have a plate of food, you put a little bit of sauerkraut on the side, you can put it in a separate bowl, or you can put it with your food, you can mix it in, and you are going to be doing wonderful things for your health. Anyways, let's get to the recipe. I really, really hope you try this because it is so simple and easy, and it is delicious. All right, we're starting with our head of cabbage. We're using a green cabbage, but you can also use purple cabbage, nappa cabbage, or savoy cabbage, whatever you have on hand. You want to peel off the outer layers. You don't need to wash the cabbage, but taking off the outer layers kind of gives you a clean slate. And if you have any dirty, rough spots, just cut those off. Now I'm going to use a mandolin to break down and shred the cabbage. You do not need to use a mandolin if you don't have it. You can just use a knife and finely shred the cabbage. Using a mandolin just makes the work faster, and it makes your shred really, really nice and thin. It is a little bit sketchy sometimes using a mandolin if you've never used one. I'm very cautious when I use it. The blades are very, very sharp, and I almost wish I had the protection gloves. Even just watching me do it gives me the weebie-jeebies, but just be really careful and you should be fine. It only took me about 10 minutes to break down the cabbage using the mandolin, which makes for really quick work in the kitchen. I'm using my knife to shred up the last little bits of the cabbage we have left over. Please make sure to reserve 2 leaves for the end, which we'll use to seal up the jars when we're finished. This bowl was a little bit too small, so I've transferred all the cabbage into a larger bowl, which will make it easier for us to mix in our salt. We are now adding our sea salt. I do prefer to use sea salt over regular table salt, but if that's all you have, that's fine. Sea salt does have a nice broad spectrum of minerals. I'm adding around 2 tablespoons of salt. It does sound like a lot of salt, but this is a big head of cabbage. It's quite a bit of cabbage. And the salt allows the good bacteria to proliferate, but suppresses the bad bacteria. So it is a necessary element of making sauerkraut. We want to mix the salt in really well, and then we're going to set the mixture aside to soften and marinate. So I've chosen to do dill and garlic as side flavor elements in the sauerkraut. There's many other things that you can use, different herbs, spices. You can add carrots, beets, all sorts of things in. I'll probably do other videos showing different types of sauerkrauts that you can make. But yeah, dill and garlic are excellent flavor profiles for sauerkraut. So we're going to mix in our dill really, really well, and then we will start packing it into our vessels with the garlic. So here we have our clamp jar. You want to make sure that you wash and dry your container really, really well. You don't need to boil them, just want to make sure they're nice and clean. And we're going to start to pack our cabbage mixture in really tightly. You really want to press it down, and then we'll intersperse some garlic throughout as we go. We're now going to make a mixture of salt and water to cover the cabbage. I'm adding 2 cups of water with 1 teaspoon of salt, which will fill both of the jars that we're making today. We just need to add the water slowly, moving the cabbage around to try and get all the air bubbles out and the water down to the bottom of the container. We will fill the water just about a few centimeters above the cabbage, and then what we're going to do is take that extra leaf that we saved, and we're going to kind of press the leaf down and push all of the cabbage underneath the water. Now there are many different weights and special crock weights that you can purchase, but I literally have found a piece of cabbage with a carrot to keep the cabbage pressed down works beautifully, as you can see. We're now going to fill up our second jar, our smaller jar, with the remaining cabbage, and then repeat the process again. Fill the container up with water, just a couple centimeters past the cabbage, and then we're going to use our cabbage leaf to press the cabbage down underneath the water and use the carrot to keep everything down under the water. This is really important because anything that is above the water will get moldy and start to rot. We are done. We have 2 finished jars of sauerkraut. We're now going to set these aside. If you have a really warm kitchen, I keep my home around 21 degrees. It only took 4 days for this to ferment really nicely. But if you have a cooler kitchen, it can take up to a week or a little bit longer. These have been sitting by my stove. This is day 3, and as you can see, there's a little bit of foam kind of coming out of the container. That is the fermentation process, which is what we want. So I'm just going to release the pressure a little bit. When you have a clamp jar, you actually don't need to release the pressure at all. It will do it on its own. I'm just showing you here. You can see it's fizzing. So that is all that bacteria proliferating. With the other container here though, a couple times a day, you do want to release the pressure just gently. So you'll see a couple bubbles just popped up. I just turned the lid really gently. That's all you need to do. By day 4, this cabbage was completely done and it tasted delicious and crispy. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and follow, and we'll see you next time.